This is Earl Purdy, and I want to welcome you to Hardcore Course in Miracles. Right now, we're going to talk about the development of trust. How do you have trust in yourself, trust in your Creator, and trust in everyone around you based on the teachings of A Course in Miracles? And we're asking for miracles. So we're going to do our song, our theme song, which is We Are One. We are one. Here we go. We are one. Here we go. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. Welcome to Hardcore Course in Miracles. We're going to talk about the development of trust. The development of trust. The development of trust. That's what we're going to talk about. So take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. Here we go. You and me were not that far apart. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy. I'm so glad to be here with you. So glad to be here with you. Tell me, can you hear it? Tell me, can you feel it? Put your arms around it. Know that we are one. Oh, we are one. Yeah, yeah, we are one. Oh, we are one. I am you, and you are me. I am you, and you are me. I'm you, and you are me. I am you, and you are me. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. This is Earl Purdy here on Facebook Live. I'm going to give you the guidelines for A Course in Miracles. If you want to get the most out of this, pay a lot of attention to what I'm about to say to you right now. If you're really sincere about opening your mind, if you're really sincere about hearing how to develop trust, we're going to talk about the development of trust. According to A Course in Miracles, how do you develop trust? That's what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to be in the Manual for Teachers. The Manual for Teachers in A Course in Miracles, the Blue Book, the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. And we're going to be in the Manual for Teachers. And we're going to be on page 9. We're going to be on page 9 in the Manual for Teachers in A Course in Miracles, the Foundation for Inner Peace version. We're starting out with the section 4. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? What are the characteristics of a person that's a demonstrator of love? What are the characteristics of a person that's a demonstrator of love, that's a demonstrator of the truth? If you want to know what would be your characteristics, if you were really going to demonstrate truth, if you were really going to demonstrate freedom, what would be the characteristics? So the Course in Miracles is saying you need not believe the ideas, you need not accept the ideas, you need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Do you know that some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles you may find hard to believe? And some of the ideas in A Course in Miracles may be quite startling. But you are not being asked to judge the ideas at all. You're not being asked to judge the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you, not analyzing the ideas, using the ideas. It's the use of these ideas that will give these ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true if you use the ideas. So what are the characteristics of God's teachers? What's the characteristic of a teacher of love? Do you know the Course in Miracles says that a teacher is a demonstrator? That if you're not actually demonstrating, then you are not really teaching. So it's not so much do what I say. It's I'm going to demonstrate. If I'm a teacher, I'm going to demonstrate. And the Course in Miracles says there's only two things that anybody's ever demonstrating. They're only demonstrating love or they're demonstrating fear. Those are the only two emotions and the only two feelings that we have. And all the other feelings are just some type of a derivative of love or fear. So if you're going to be a teacher of love, if you're going to be a teacher of truth, if you're going to be a teacher of peace, well, what is the first thing you need to recognize? Well, the Course in Miracles says the surface traits of God's teachers are not at all alike. So that means that a true teacher of love, a teacher of God, doesn't look alike. They don't look alike. So teachers of God, we don't physically look alike. So that's the number one thing to recognize, is that a teacher of God, teachers of God, they don't look alike. You don't look like me, I don't look like you. So the teachers of love, the teachers do not look alike. And also a teacher of God, the characteristics of a teacher of love is that they will come from vastly different backgrounds. So number one, a teacher of love, we don't look alike, and teachers of love come from vastly different backgrounds. And if you're going to be a teacher of God, a teacher of love, if you want to know what the characteristic of a teacher of God, of a teacher of love, is that their experiences of the world vary greatly. So number one, we don't look alike, we come from different backgrounds, and we have different experiences in the world. And also, a teacher of God, a teacher of love, the Course says what? Their superficial personalities are quite distinct. So we have different personalities, we have different experiences, we come from different backgrounds, and we don't look alike. So what are the surface traits of a teacher of God? A surface trait of a teacher of God, number one, is that teachers of love don't look alike. Teachers of love come from vastly different backgrounds. Teachers of love, their experiences of the world are very different. We all have different experiences of the world, and most of all, our personalities are very different. Our personalities are very distinct. Now, at the beginning stages of your functioning as a teacher of God, at the very beginning, because that's what you are. You're to be a teacher of love. You are here to be a teacher of truth. You are here to be a demonstrator of love. You are here to be a demonstrator of love. You are a non-physical being having a physical experience. You are a non-physical being having a human experience. You came here to demonstrate love. You came here to demonstrate oneness. You came here to demonstrate the truth. That's the real reason. That's the real reason why you are here, to demonstrate love, to demonstrate freedom, to demonstrate peace, to demonstrate abundance, to demonstrate. That's why you're here. That's the real reason why you're here. So what happens at the beginning stages? What happens at the beginning stages of their functioning as teachers of God? Okay, well, when you're at the beginning and you're just now getting ready to demonstrate the truth and demonstrate love, then that means you haven't acquired the deeper characteristics that will establish you as a teacher of love in the beginning. In the beginning, you have not established these characteristics that I'm about to describe to you. So if you're a beginner, remember, if you are a beginner, then you have not yet acquired the deeper characteristics of love and peace that will establish you as a true teacher of love and a teacher of God. So that's number one. So if you're a teacher of God and you want to become a teacher of love and you want to become a demonstrator of truth, then what's the first thing you need to realize? You need to realize that you haven't achieved the characteristics of a total demonstrator of unconditional love yet. Okay? You haven't established the characteristics of unconditional love yet at the beginning. But are you aware that your Creator gave special gifts to its teachers? So I'm going to say it this way. The Creator has given special gifts to you because you have a special role. I'm talking to you. You have a special role in the Creator's plan for atonement. You have a special role in love's plan. You have a special role in God's plan. Do you know that I'm talking to you have a special role in the divine plan? Now, this specialness that you have right now, it's going to just be temporary. So temporarily, you're going to be very, very special. You're going to be very unique. You're going to have your own distinct personality and characteristics. But I want you to remember one thing. What is it that I want you to remember? I want you to remember that your specialness is temporary. In time, it will look like you're very special. So set in time, your specialness is a way of leading out of time. So your special uniqueness, your special qualities, it's a means of leading people out of time, out of fear. So you have special gifts. You may not recognize it, but you have special gifts. And you are going to achieve these special gifts. They're going to be born in the holy, happy, healing, loving relationship. So you are going to have a holy relationship. You're going to have special gifts that are going to be born out of loving relationships. So each person will become aware of special gifts out of having holy relationships, which are loving relationships. The Course in Miracles says a holy relationship is a sane relationship. It's a peaceful relationship. So when you're in a peaceful relationship, you will have special gifts that will be born within you. That's why it's so important for you to be in sane, loving relationships. Because when you're in sane, loving relationships, you are going to give birth to very special gifts. Because all of your teaching, learning situations, every teaching, learning situation that you're in, every teaching, learning situation that you're in is geared towards you having happy, loving, holy relationships. And these are going to be very special gifts that are going to come out of these loving relationships. And these characteristics, they are going to be characteristic of all teachers of God, all teachers of love. So listen, so would you be willing to listen to this again? I'm going to say this to you again. This is hardcore Course in Miracles. This is for people who are ready to hear some deep stuff, okay? You are a teacher of God. You are a teacher of love. You are a teacher of love. That's why you were born. That's why you came here. You have special gifts that God has given you. And when you are in loving relationships, you will become aware of these special gifts. A holy relationship is a teaching, learning situation. So do you know that a holy relationship is a teaching, learning relationship? It's a relationship where you teach love and learn love, teach freedom and learn freedom, teach peace and learn peace. So as you advance in your own learning, you're going to acquire characteristics that apply to all teachers of love, teachers of truth, and teachers of God. So in this respect, all teachers of God are alike. In what respect? That all of us are going to develop these characteristics. That there are certain characteristics of a person that's a teacher of love. There are certain characteristics of a person that's a teacher of the truth. They have certain characteristics. So let's hear more about what those characteristics are. So let's get this straight. First of all, teachers of God, God's teachers don't look alike. They come from different backgrounds. They have different experiences, and they have different personalities. As a teacher of God, as a teacher of love, you have a special role in the plan. So you've been given special gifts, very unique gifts that are your gifts. You will become aware of these very special, unique gifts when you are in loving, sane, holy relationships. So does that mean if you are in relationships that are constantly full of drama and conflict and fear, that it's hard for your special gifts from God to be manifested? That's exactly right. Your special gifts are going to be born in loving relationships, in peaceful relationships, in sane relationships. And you're going to develop these characteristics, certain characteristics that all advanced teachers of God acquire. Okay, so what is that? Well, the first thing that you need to remember is all of our differences are temporary. So right now, it looks like we're different, and it looks like we look different, that we come from different backgrounds, and we have different experiences, and it looks like our personalities are different, but these differences are temporary. So what does that mean? Well, nevertheless, in time, which is where you are, in time it can be said that the advanced teachers of love, the advanced teachers of God, have the following characteristics. So if you want to know when you're in the presence of a very advanced being, if you want to know when you are in the presence of a very advanced demonstrator of truth, would you like to know how you can tell when you're with a very advanced demonstrator of love? That's what you're going to become. You're going to become a teacher of love, a demonstrator of love. That's why you were born. You were born to be a demonstrator of outrageous happiness and joy and love. That's why you're on the planet. You're on the planet to be the light, to be the love, to be the peace, to be the truth. And you're not alone. You're not alone. You have all kinds of support, invisible and visible support. So what is the first characteristic of a teacher of God? What is the first characteristic of a teacher of God? Trust. Trust is a characteristic of a teacher of God. What do you mean? Well, trust is the foundation on which your ability to fulfill your function rests. So your ability to fulfill your function, what does it rest on? Your ability to fulfill your function for being here, what does it depend on? It depends on trust. So how well you're going to be a demonstrator of love is obviously going to be in proportion to how you learn to trust and how much trust you have and how you're able to develop trust. And so what is your perception the result of? The way you see things, it's the result of learning. So everything you see is learning. So perception is the result of learning. How you see things is based on what you've learned. How you see things is based on what you have learned. Perception is the result of learning. The result of learning is how you see things. So how you see things is how you learn to see things. How you see people is how you learn to see people. So perception is learning, and learning is perception. Perception is learning, learning is perception. Do you know that you perceive the way you have learned to perceive? Perception is what? The result of learning. In fact, perception is learning. So wherever you see the word perception in A Course in Miracles, does that mean you could use the word learning? If you really want to trip yourself out, everywhere you see the word perception in the Course in Miracles, just substitute the word learning, and it will blow your mind, because perception is learning. So cause and effect are never separated. So the cause of what you see is what you've learned. So what you have learned is what you are perceiving. You are perceiving what you have learned. You are perceiving how you have learned to perceive. Whew. So what is another characteristic of a true teacher of God? Well, a teacher of God, a teacher of love, teachers of God have trust in the world. What? Right, if you're a true teacher of God, you actually have trust in the world. And that's an interesting thought. The teachers of God have trust in the world. So why would a teacher of God have trust in the world? You're in the world. See, you're in the world, but you're trusting. You're trusting in the world. It's not like you're trusting the world. You are trusting in the world. You are in the world. So a teacher of God, a teacher of love, a teacher of truth, they trust in the world. So why do you have trust in the world? Why would a teacher of God have trust in the world? Why would a true teacher and demonstrator of love have trust in the world? Because a teacher of God, a teacher of truth, they have learned that the world is not governed by the laws the world made up. We're not governed by the laws that people have made up. We're not governed by the laws that the world has made up. Do you know you're not ruled by the world? You're not ruled by the beliefs of the world. You're not ruled by the laws in the world. A teacher of God, they trust in the world because a teacher of God has learned that the world isn't governed by the laws that the world made up. So if the world isn't governed by the laws the world made up, and if a person isn't governed by the laws that they have made up, then what is this world governed by? Well, the world is governed by a power that is in the teacher of God, but not of the teacher of God. So you are governed by a power that's in you, but the power didn't come from you. There's a power in you that didn't come from you. There's a power in you that did not come from you. You have a power in you that did not come from you. You have a power. You have a power. You have power in you that didn't come from you. You have power. You have a power. You have power in you that didn't come from you. So if you want to have trust in the world, you have to get in touch with the laws of God, the laws of the universe, universal laws. Because universal laws are not the laws that man made up, that people made up. So you will be in the world and you'll have trust in the world because you know that everything is really governed by a power that's not in you. But you'll know that the world is governed by a power that is in you, but that power did not come from you. The true power came from your Creator. The true power came from God. And do you know that it is this power that keeps all things safe? It's not the police, it's not the army, it's not anything in the outer world that's going to keep you safe. Do you know that there's not anything in the outer world that can keep you safe, that can keep you safe? There's not anything or anyone in the outer world that can really keep you safe. There's nothing in the rules and the regulations of the outer world that can keep you safe. So if you're going to have true peace in the world, you have to be a person that is trusting in the laws of God, the laws of truth. The laws of truth, they're in you, but they didn't come from you. And so it's this power of the Creator. It's this power of God that is in you that can keep all things safe. It's the power of love that keeps all things safe. It's the power of love that keeps all things really safe. It's the power of real love, a power that is in you, but the power of love didn't come from you, but the power of love is in you. The power of love didn't come from you, but the power of love is in you. The power of love didn't come from you, but the power of love is in you. And it's this power, what power? The power of love that keeps everything safe. It's the power of God that keeps everything safe. Do you know that it's through the power of love? Do you know that it's through the power of God that you look on a forgiven world? So if you don't see a world that's forgiven, if you don't if you don't feel like you're looking on a forgiven world, if it looks like to you that you're not looking at a forgiving world, it just means that you haven't tapped into your true power yet. Because remember, you're at the beginning. And since you're at the beginning, you haven't acquired the deeper characteristics of unconditional love yet. So be patient with yourself because you're at the very beginning. And this is telling you what you're going to be like the once you have awakened. First thing you're going to realize is that you are responsible for how you see things because you will recognize that you're seeing things according to how you've learned. And if you learned in the past to distrust a certain race of people, then you're going to see suspicion and fear. Everything that you look at, you learn to see it that way. Everything that you're looking at, you learn to see it that way. Everything that you're looking at, you learn to see it that way. But when you become a teacher of God, a true teacher of God, first of all, you're going to have trust because you're going to realize that this world isn't governed by the laws that the world made up. You're going to recognize that this world is governed by God. It's governed by laws that are in you, but laws that didn't come from you. And you're going to realize what else? Well, you're going to realize that it's this power that keeps everything safe. And you're going to realize that it's through this power of love, the power of God, that you are going to look on a world that has been forgiven. Repetition. I'm the divine repetition teacher. I'm the divine repetition teacher. I am your remembering coach, because the Course in Miracles says over and over again, remember this, don't forget this. Remember this, don't forget this. It says it hundreds of times. With A Course in Miracles, to have miracles, it calls on you remembering what you're being told right now, which will probably be very different from what you might be telling yourself. So in the Manual for Teachers, Chapter 4, Section 1, Paragraph 2, do you know what happens to you when you experience the power of God? Do you know what happens to a person when they really experience the power of love? Do you know what will happen to you when you really experience the power of love? It's going to become impossible for you to trust in your own personal petty strength ever again. You will not be trusting. Once you experience the power of God, the power of love, it will be impossible for you to trust in your own little petty human strength again. You won't trust in your little separate human strength at all. The once you've experienced the power of God. Do you know that the once you've experienced the power of God, the once you've experienced the power of real love, you won't ever trust your ego, your little small false self, ever again. I mean, who would attempt to fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when they have the mighty power of an eagle? Who would place their faith in the shabby offerings of their ego, their fears, their guilts, when the gifts of God are laid before them? So what is it that's going to induce you to make this shift? What's going to induce you to make this shift to go to your greatness, to go to your magnitude? What is it that is going to induce you to make that change of consciousness, that shift of consciousness to real love? That's a good question. What's going to make me finally really change? Well, we're going to talk about the development of trust. The development of trust, because that's one of the first things that you need to develop. If you're going to be a demonstrator of God, if you're going to be a demonstrator of truth, if you're going to be a demonstrator of truth, then you need to develop trust. If you're ever going to enjoy yourself, if you're ever going to have a good time, if you're ever going to enjoy being here, then you're going to have to develop what? You're going to have to develop trust. But notice that the book said develop trust. It didn't say readiness is mastery. Just because you're ready to be more trusting doesn't mean that you are trusting yet. Because we're talking about characteristics that you have to develop. And if these are characteristics that you have to develop, then it means you don't have those characteristics expressed yet. So give yourself a break. Okay? So we're talking about how you're going to develop trust. Would you like to know? Well, first, you're going to go through, what's the first thing that you're going to go through in the development of trust? What's the very first thing that you're going to go through when you're developing trust? You're going to be going through an undoing. You're going to first experience an undoing, a period of undoing. What's the first thing that you're going to go through when you want to develop trust? You're going to go through a period of undoing, a period of undoing. Now, going through this undoing doesn't have to be painful. Going through the undoing doesn't have to be painful, but going through the undoing is usually experienced as painful. Undoing your anger, guilt, fear, misperceptions, lack of trust. It doesn't have to be painful. Developing trust doesn't have to be painful, but at first it kind of looks like it's painful. So why does it look like it's experienced as painful? Well, the reason why the first part, which is the undoing, can seem like it's painful is because it seems as if things are being taken away. It looks like things are being taken away. When you first start to undo fear and guilt and anger and separation, when you're developing trust, number one, you're going to go through a period of what? What kind of period are you going to go through? You're going to go through a period of undoing. A period of undoing. It's going to look like some things are being taken away because it's rarely understood at first that their lack of value is being recognized. It looks like things are being taken away, but what's really happening is you're going to recognize that a lot of things in your experience that you've been valuing is not really valuable. So you're going to realize that some things that you value are not valuable. And it's going to look like those things are being taken away because those things are not valuable. But how can you see the lack of value unless you are in a position where you must see things in a different way? So you have to see things in a different light in order for you to learn what's valuable and what's not valuable. So you're learning now to look at things another way. You're learning through A Course in Miracles how to look at things another way. And when you look at things in this new way, when you look at things from the perspective of love and oneness, you're going to see that some of the things that you have been valuing are actually not valuable at all. Not only is some of the things that you've been valuing not valuable, but it's been the thing that has been causing you pain, but you didn't know it because you're not yet at a point where you can make the shift entirely internally. Do you know that you are probably not at the point right now that you can just say, all right, I'm going to love everybody, and then change the way you feel on the inside instantly? You may not be, you are not yet, and no, the Course in Miracles says you're not yet at a point in which you can shift completely on the inside. You are not at the point yet that you can just change your mind from the inside yet. So since you're not at the point that you can just change your mind yet, and you can change on the inside completely yet, then what does God's plan call for? Since you know that you can really want to be more loving and more forgiving, but on the inside, you are not able to pull that off yet. Well, then what happens? Well, of course, the Miracle says, well, so the plan will sometimes call for changes. Okay, so God's plan, since you can't change completely on the inside yet, then God's plan will sometimes call for changes. What changes? Changes in what seem to be your external circumstances. So when you haven't made the shift entirely internally to love, when you haven't awakened yet, then sometimes God's plan is going to call for a change in your external circumstances. If you're not completely shifted on the inside yet, and you haven't been able to totally shift yourself on the inside yet, the plan will sometimes seem to call for changes in your outside circumstances. So if you're on a spiritual path, and you know you're not to the point yet that you 100% have forgiven everyone, and you know that you have not 100% seen your innocence, and you know that you are not 100% able to give unconditional love, then that means that the plan is going to call for probably a change in your external circumstances. So what is it that you need to remember about the changes that you're about to go through? What is the main thing you need to remember about the changes that's getting ready to happen in your life? There are changes that are getting ready to happen in your life. There are big changes getting ready to happen in your life because you've decided you want to be a demonstrator of love and a demonstrator of abundance and a demonstrator of truth. But you know you haven't completely changed on the inside yet. So if you haven't completely changed on the inside yet, then God's plan is going to call for changes in the external circumstances. You got it? Okay. What is the main thing you need to remember about any changes that happen from here on out? The thing you need to remember about any changes that happen in your life right now, what is the main thing you need to remember? What is the main thing you need to remember about any change? I don't care whether it's a spiritual change, a job change, a relationship change, a money change, any kind of change. These changes are always helpful. These changes that you're going to go through in your external circumstances, because you're not completely able to change on the inside 100% yet, then there are going to be some changes. And these changes are always helpful. They're always helpful. These changes that you are about to experience, and the change that you're going through right now, the change that you're going through right now, the change that you're going through right now is totally helpful. It's very helpful. All changes are helpful. So when will you go to the second stage? When will you go to the second stage? Well, you don't go to the next stage. You won't go to the next stage until what? You won't go to the next stage as a teacher of God. You won't go to the next stage until you have learned that changes are always helpful. So if you want to go to the next level of consciousness, you have to tell yourself, this change that I'm going through right now, this change is helpful to me. All changes are helpful to me. Every change that I'm going through in my life right now, in my relationships right now, in the circumstances in my life right now, every change is helpful. Every change is helpful. Every change is helpful. The change that you're going through right now, regardless of how you are experiencing it, the change that you're going through right now is helpful. Okay, so if you want to go to the next stage, if you want to go to the second stage, what is it that you need to recognize? That the change that you're going through right now, and every change that you go through, is helpful. So what is the next thing that you have to go through? First, you go through a period of undoing. So when you're going through a period of undoing, it might look like some things are being taken away, but the truth is you're just going to be recognizing that you've been valuing a lot of things that's not really valuable. And you must get to the point that you can see things in a different light. But you're not at the point yet that you can completely change on the inside and make all the changes just internally. So God's plan is going to sometimes call for changes in your external circumstances. And these changes that you go through in your external circumstances, these changes are helpful. These changes are helpful. All changes are helpful. Now, you're not going to go to the next stage until you learn that every change that you're going through is a benefit to you. Every change that you're going through is a benefit to you. Then you're going to go through, what is the next period that you're going to go through? You're going to go through a period of sorting things out. You're going to go through a period of sorting things out. Now, do you know that sorting things out can be somewhat difficult? Sorting things out can be somewhat difficult. So why is it that sorting everything out can be difficult? Because having learned that the changes in your life are always helpful, now you've got to decide everything on the basis of whether they increase helpfulness or hamper helpfulness. In other words, you will find that many, if not most of the things that you used to value are things that really hinder your ability to transfer the truth. You're going to find that many of the beliefs and things that you have learned to believe and value actually hinder your ability to transfer the truth that you've been learning to new situations as they arise. You're going to recognize that sorting out is a challenge because you've got to decide everything on the basis of whether it's helpful to you or whether it hampers you. Is this relationship you're in helpful to you, or is it a relationship that's delaying you? Is that job that you own, is that a job that's helping you, or is that a job that's hindering you? The perception that you have of yourself, is it a perception that you've learned in the past that's helping you, or is it hindering you? In other words, you've got to decide everything on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper the helpfulness. Now, what is it that the Course in Miracles says that you're going to find out? Well, you're going to find out that most of the things you valued, most of the things that you've learned, they actually hinder your ability to apply the truth to every situation that comes up. You may have a belief in some area, for instance, that you're a victim, right? But the truth is saying you're responsible for what you experience and how you see things. So that old learning might hinder your ability to transfer this new truth to new situations as they come up in your life. Because you have valued in the past, you have valued what is really valueless. In the past, we have valued things that were not truly valuable. And do you know, according to the Course in Miracles, what's truly valuable is something that you can depend on, something that is permanent, something that is loving, something that is peaceful. You want something that's consistent. So the Course in Miracles says anything that's temporary, anything that comes and goes is not ultimately valuable. So you want to come to the realization that, you know what, I've learned some things that may not be valuable. So that means that those things may leave my experience right now. And sometimes people are afraid to apply the truth to everything because they think if they apply the truth to everything, that they're going to lose something, that they're going to sacrifice. Like if I free my partner, for instance, somehow or another, that means that I might lose them. So I don't want to apply what the Course is teaching about love being freedom. And when you really love someone, you don't try to limit them and control them. So therefore, I won't apply that idea to my relationships because I'm afraid of losing. I'm afraid that I'm having to give up something that I don't want to give up yet. So it takes great learning. How much learning? It takes great learning. It takes great learning to learn what? It takes great learning to understand. What is it? It takes great learning to understand that all things, all events, all encounters, and all circumstances are helpful. All things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. Everything, every event, every encounter, and every circumstance helps you. It takes great learning to understand that everything, every event, every encounter, every circumstance is helpful to you. Every event, everything, every encounter, every circumstance is helpful. It takes great learning to understand that. So we haven't had great learning yet. Don't forget, you're at the beginning of the learning process. So does that mean right now you may not recognize that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful? That's exactly right. If you're at the beginning of learning how to be unconditionally loving, then you may be at the point right now where you really don't understand yet that everything that's happening to you, every event that's happening in your life, every encounter in your life is helpful. Every encounter in your life is helpful. Every circumstance in your life is helpful. But it takes great awakening and great understanding to recognize that every event, every encounter, and every circumstance is helpful. And do you know it's only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded to them? In this world of illusion, in this world of false ideas, the Course in Miracles says that things in your life are no more real than they are helpful to you. If it's not helpful, it's an illusion. If it's not helpful, it's not really valuable. If it's not helpful, it's not real. So the Course in Miracles says it's only to the extent that any encounter, event, or circumstance or relationship is bringing you to a realization of your value and how valuable you are and how loved you are and that you are loved and that you are spirit. If you're in any kind of event, circumstance, encounter that is not a reminder that you are loved and that you deserve love and that you are powerful and that you are innocent and that you are a creation of God, anything that's not reminding you in the encounter, in the event, in the circumstance, that's not reminding you of the truth, that's not reminding you of reality, that's not reminding you of love and freedom, then that is not valuable. Whatever that is, whatever that encounter is not valuable. But it's helpful because it's helping you come to the realization of the truth about yourself. So the word value can apply to nothing else except to something that's helpful. So what do you tell yourself? Well, you tell yourself that everything, every event, every encounter, and every circumstance in your life right now, whether it seems that way or not, everything in your life is helpful. Everything in your life is helping you. 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 Every event in your life is helping you. Every event in your life is helping you, whether it looks that way or not. Every event in your life, every encounter, Every encounter in your life is helpful. Every encounter you had today was helpful. Every encounter you have tomorrow is helpful. And it's only to the extent to which that encounter is helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded to it in this world of illusion. The word value can apply to nothing else. So I'm going to do a review of what I've covered because it's really about remembering and repetition and taking these attitudes. So I'm a full-time teacher of A Course in Miracles. If you like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I would really appreciate that. Thank you. You can go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, earlpurdy.com. That's Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y. You can also use Venmo. You can use the Cash App, PayPal, and you can use Zelle. All you need is my email address. Do you know that my email address is earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com? earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm also available for counseling, mentoring, and coaching using the principles of A Course in Miracles. I've been doing it for over 40 years, and I've been working with people full-time for over 35 years. So if you want to have a one-on-one session with me where I bring all of that experience and familiarity with the Course into your life and your situations to give you another way to look at it, or if you just want to get a deeper, better understanding of A Course in Miracles and save yourself a lot of time, then book a clarity session with me. It's called Clarity. They're called Clarity Sessions. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com. Look under the Clarity Sessions tab. It will give you all the details, and you can self-book a session with me right from my website. You can self-book a session. For those of you who are open and receptive to it, I've also been a soul purpose astrologer and numerologist for over 40 years. And it's another way to get in touch with the divine plan for your life and the easiest way for you to manifest it. And so I'm available for that also. Just go to my website and you can self-book a session with me. On Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we do Hardcore Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live on the Earl Purdy page at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. On Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I do another Course in Miracles Facebook Live. And it's at 1 p.m. And if you're in the Denver, Colorado area, then you can come and attend in person as well as watch it online. I'm doing it at 1555 Race Street in Denver, Colorado. That's RACE 80206. If you'd like to be a part of an advanced mind training Course in Miracles group that I'm going to be doing for dedicated Course in Miracles students who are studying and reading, I call it an advanced mind training. It's a special class I'm going to be doing. Then send me your email. Then email me and let me know you're interested in it and you want to be a part of it. All I ask is that you actually be someone that's actually studying A Course in Miracles and reading A Course in Miracles on a regular basis, and that you like me. Because I want to work with people who like me, and we flow together, okay? So that's all you need to do. Okay, here we go. Let's do a quick review of what we just heard. Okay, so the first thing we need to recognize is to be a teacher of God, to be a teacher of love. Don't forget that all of my Facebook Lives on the Earl Purdy page on Facebook, and I also have my videos on YouTube and on my website. So I got lots of classes that you can watch. First of all, you are very unique. All teachers of God look very different. They come from different backgrounds. They have different experiences. But as you begin to develop as a teacher of love, a teacher of God, the first thing that you're going to develop is trust. Love is trust. So do you know you don't love somebody that you don't trust? You do not love someone that you do not trust. It's no such thing as I don't trust you, but I really love you. There's no such thing as I do not trust you, but I do not love you. Trust and love are the same thing. Trust and love are the same thing. So trust is the foundation on which your ability to fulfill your function must be based on. So that's why we're going through the development of trust. Your perception, do you know that the way you see things is a result of how you have learned to see things? So if you want to see things differently, does that mean you need new learnings? Does that mean you need new teachings? That's exactly right. And that's what A Course in Miracles is. It's a new teaching you new ways of perceiving and looking at things. Now, do you know that you're going to have trust in the world? But the reason why you're going to have trust in the world is because you're going to recognize that the world isn't governed by the rules of man, that we're not governed by the rules of the ego. We're not governed by the laws that the world has made up. We know that everything, a teacher of God, a teacher of love, recognizes that everything is really governed by a power that's in them, but not a power that comes from them. So do you know that it's going to be this power that is in you that did not come from you? It comes from the Creator. That it is this power that will keep everything safe. And it's through this power that you're going to look at a forgiven world, through the power of God, through the power of love. Do you know when you have experienced the power of God, when you have experienced the power of joy, when you have experienced the power of love, it will become impossible for you to ever trust your little self ever again, your little ego, fearful self. You won't trust that human part of you ever again. What is going to get you to make this shift, to this total place of trust and love and power? Well, first you're going to go through what? You're going to go through a period of undoing. You're going to go through a period of undoing. Now, it doesn't have to be painful, but it's usually experienced as painful because it's going to look like some things are being taken away, but they're not being taken away. It's just their lack of value is being recognized because you're in a position where you can see things in a new way, from a different light. Now, you are not at the point yet that you can completely change yourself, completely 100% on the inside yet. So since you're not able to totally change your mind completely yet, then God's plan will sometimes call for changes in your external circumstances. So if you start to experience a lot of changes in your external circumstances, what is it that you need to remind yourself? You should remind yourself that changes are always helpful. Changes are always helpful. These changes that you are going through right now, or the changes you are about to go through right now, these changes are going to be helpful. Changes are always helpful, always helpful. Changes are always helpful. Changes are helpful. Changes are helpful. When you've learned that much, you're ready to go to the next stage. You're ready to go to the next stage, which is what? You're going to go through a stage of sorting things out. So you have to start deciding everything based on, is this helping me or is this delaying me? Is this situation helping me or is it delaying me? Is this relationship helping me and bringing more peace and love in my life? Or is this relationship delaying me by being constant drama and conflict and unhappiness? You're going to come to realize that you've learned a lot of things that sometimes makes it hard for you to apply the truth to new circumstances as they arise. But it takes great learning to learn one thing. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. Everything that you're going through right now, every event that you're experiencing right now, every encounter that you are experiencing right now, every and any circumstance that you're in right now is really helpful. And it's only to the extent that it's helpful that you should see it as having any reality or any value. So how do you tell if something is valuable? If it's moving you toward awareness, love, and peace and joy, it's valuable. If it's moving you toward real love, if it's moving you toward freedom, if it's moving you toward God, then it's valuable. And only what's valuable should you give any reality to in this world of illusion. The word value can apply to nothing else. So I say, all changes are helpful. All changes are helpful. All changes are helpful. All changes are helpful. This change is helpful. This change is helpful. This change is helpful. All changes are helpful. Mighty companions, this is Earl Purdy. I watch this at least 4 times, listen to this at least 4 times, because the name of the game is what? It's remembering. It's remembering. Remembering what you've been told. That's the key to having the miracle. That's the key to having the new perception. All changes are helpful. Mighty companions, please share these videos. Help me put the word out. Be a part of that. You are a blessing in my life, and I'm so thankful to you. Mighty companions, may the course be with you. Love you.